Hello, friends. So happy to have you here with me today at Radical Joy. If you've been here before, welcome back. If this is your first time with me, well, I'm glad you're here. Each week, I'm here with you talking to myself about things that weigh on my mind and heart, hoping if you're dealing with something similar, we can adjust our perspectives as you listen. Hey, if you're struggling with something that needs immediate attention, please know that help is available. Just dial 988 nationwide in the U.S. to reach the Mental Health and Suicide Crisis Hotline. All of us here at CLW Studios believe that mental health is a vital part of our well being. The more people I meet and the more places I go, the more I realize how important it is to make people aware of the fact that there is no shame in enjoying the parts of our lives that are incredible. It's time for some radical joy, and this week, the three fingers pointing back at me are for the color red, represented in this episode by anger and compassion. Part one of a seven-part series for Pride Month. We had a meeting not long ago, and we've wanted to do this for at least a couple of years, and it worked out so that we could get this done this year. Pride Month is something we have so many people in our listening audience that identify with the rainbow community, and we want to make sure that we acknowledge them, see them, tell them that we love them, and stand by them strongly in anything and everything. And so we had a little meeting about we're going to go through the entire rainbow, Roy G. Biv, making sure that we cover each one of the colors and a yin and yang of emotions that go with each of those colors. It's pretty easy to come up with the negative, and what we wanted to do is try to find something that countered it. I don't like thinking in opposites, but I think for our purposes, this is something that we could definitely work on so that moving forward, we have a way of acknowledging what we're feeling that could be considered negative and having a countering emotion or heart mindset that would help to understand and work through those difficult emotions moving forward. So, as for red, the red easily that seems a very simple thing to do. We can go just as quickly as we want to the Disney Pixar Inside Out, red being anger or rage, and I think a lot of people can definitely sympathize and or relate to that very strong feeling. It is a wildly effective motivator, and the thing that we had to come up with was something that felt as though it was a balancer, something that could equalize whenever the rage got just a little bit too much. And I spoke with my producer about it. Carrie and I agreed that compassion was probably the most effective whenever we think of something like that, as far as sort of tempering that heat with something that could still be useful, something that we could manifest or direct in a way so that we could still be very effective in our daily lives, something that we could use to fuel a positive outcome, and something that we could add to it so that it didn't just consume. Because if any of you are like me, and I think maybe several of you are, I deal with anger on a daily basis for any number of reasons. I continue to see injustice and just what appears to be almost unplanned or unstructured, hateful and awful just thrown into the world. And I think that I continue to rage on the inside. And then there's a part of me that needs to know a way to balance it so that it doesn't completely rob me of the joy that I continue to try to build in my life as well. I had a very kind, candid conversation with a friend of mine. I'll be honest, I don't hear from him very often, but when I do, it's always so nice. And we were talking about what we do whenever these kinds of things threaten to just burn us to a crisp. What do I do? I want to put good into the world. I want to put love and strength and kindness into the world. And then whenever I do that, I'm met with so much anger and what appears to be just malice. It's not just that people are angry, it's just they want to see others hurt. They want to see people they don't know. They want to see the idea of these people eradicated. And I'm like, well, this is what I'm going through, and tell me if this is what you're feeling so we can maybe figure it out together. My first My go-to, my knee-jerk reaction is anger. I'm mad. Oh, I'm so mad that this is happening because it feels like people aren't putting any thought into it. It just feels as though it continues to happen. And they continue to double down and triple down, and they just continue to add this opposite of goodwill into the universe. And they put a very specific flag on it, meaning a flag of a nation. And that hurts me because that's what I would consider the flag of my birth. And I still identify very strongly with being American. And though the things that they're doing now in the name of that nation and or in the name of being a Christian or any other number of things where I identify very heavily or have for years and years and years, it makes me mad that they're using those things to label what it is they're doing as pro-America or pro-Christian. And I rage. I rage because that is not the America and that is not the Christ that I was raised to follow or identify with or be a part of. And luckily, this person did agree with me, like, yeah. No, you're not alone. I think a lot of people that started there are now having a very difficult time continuing there. It's like, okay, so then what? Like, what do we do? Like, the way that I know to fight, I can't fight in just this one color. Because if I do, it will literally consume me. It will cut me off from people that I have loved my entire life. What do I do? How do I operate? And the longer we talked and the deeper we dug, I told him I feel a quiet sadness. That's what I feel in this. Anger is one thing because I can holler and I can stand on what I know to be true and right and good. And I can point fingers and I can set things on fire. And it feels amazing because I know that there are people who will agree with me, and hopefully something that I will say will also move them, inspire them to do something on their own turf, on their own terms, to do something really helpful in what they see as injustice in the world. Fantastic. And we have to temper that with something, knowing that even though we feel unreasonably justified in getting this angry, we must also temper it with something that can be very helpful to those who don't respond well to that volume of discussion. And that's where our compassion comes into play, where we have to understand and look at the things that many, many people are out there and they are suffering and they are angry and they are feeling wildly mistreated by the way the world is working right now, and the way that they see as moving forward in it doesn't always match up with what the rest of the world may see as what is effective to get to a place where they can earn more money for their families, where they can feel more a part of the national discussion, where they can feel as though they are not left behind by a community that has more opportunities afforded to them because of where they grew up or how much money their family had or who that family knew. And I get it. And I want to have compassion and understanding for these people. I most definitely do. It is difficult sometimes to do that. Why? Because it feels as though these people won something and they want to instead rely on and lean on that victory instead of trying to figure out, okay, now we've won. Now, how do we all move forward so that what I was feeling, I can fix it by working with the powers that be, by relying on them to be our representatives and our public servants, so that what I was feeling can now be sort of adjusted. So that now I can start feeling as though what is happening now is in the greater good and in the benefit of more people in the country, in the world, instead of just those select few at the very top of the food chain. Well, great. I would love to see that happen as well. I think that would be a wonderful thing for whoever is in power to make sure that we continue to focus on those kinds of populations, both domestic and abroad, so that we can all work to make sure that those things continue to improve for the folks who are literally the backbone of the nation. Who are the people who put the world in a better place? Yes. My question is this: how does that look? What is that? And we have to ask a very specific question because some people are willing to blindly follow whoever's in power to do the things. And I will give us this: some people are dead set against anyone doing anything positive in this administration and in their faith for that person or persons to accomplish that goal. I get it. I do. I really, really do. And on the days when it's difficult to get it, I just kind of have to give myself a little bit more space, go after a little bit larger snack, perhaps a longer nap, and wake up and get ready on a full belly to understand what it is we need to do in order to reach that understanding on all sides of the argument. I'm careful not to use the word both, and that was the first word that came to my mind. Both. We're so quick to put so many of these things into a binary, and that's not what I want to do. What I want to do is open this discussion to so many opinions and ideas and mindsets so that we can all continue to focus on whatever it is we need to do in order to gain a greater understanding of our neighbors who we are ready to punch in the throat. Oh, there's that anger. And instead, what I'm going to do is move into the compassionate part of that. I understand it. We are angry. Why? Because we were sold a bill of goods that now doesn't seem like what we bought. Okay. And I think that's on many, many, many sides of this. There are so many people out there that were taught one thing. Well, if I do this and I am a good person and I settle down and I marry well and I make babies and I raise them to be good people, then I can start taking advantage of all of these other things that I was promised from the very beginning. And I can sort of like lean back and rest and be okay in the fact that I did everything right. And maybe that isn't happening. Let's take another perspective on this. I was raised to believe that you made good grades in high school and you did all the extracurriculars and you tried your best to get into a good school and you took out all these enormous loans and you did the things and then you were supposed to get out and get a good job because you worked your tail to the bone for all of this education, all of these good things, because that's what you wanted to do. That was the goal. Get something good so that you can provide for a wonderful family once you're out, pay back all of these loans, make all of this money, and do these great things with your life. And eventually you'll be able to retire and rest and do the things you wanted to do because you put them off because you had to do these things in your youth to set you up for a fantastic future. And now that is not maybe what you're getting. And if that makes you rage, hey, I get it and I support it because I think a lot of us are dawning on that realization now. And so, what we have to do is not only get angry about that because it is a righteous and justified anger, we have to find a way to communicate that anger between groups of people who are angry, I think, for similar reasons, but on different journeys. Okay. Because I think that there are a lot of people out there that get mad because they went one way and they ended up in a lesser advantageous position. And they get mad at maybe the people who they see as being better off for whatever reason. Maybe it is because they got more education or they had more opportunities or they were born into a different family that perhaps knew other people so they could move in different circles. There are so many reasons we could be mad about things. I would like to also perhaps offer that there are a million different reasons that we could be really understanding about the way people get angry and why they're there. I think a lot of us are sharing a very similar amount of frustration that eventually leads us into anger and perhaps teeters over into rage. And I think one of the most balancing forces in the world for that is a compassionate aspect of it. There's an element of compassion that must play into this. Can you get mad about it? Absolutely. Can you be frustrated whenever you see that people that you held in very high esteem now support a group of people that are continuing to do terrible things in the nation that eventually bleeds into the world? Also, yes. Yes, you can. Do I think it perhaps even a tiny bit unfair that I ask us all to exercise compassion on these people? Yeah. Yeah, I do. Because I tell you, if anybody were to come to me with that, I'd be bowed up, ready to come unglued on somebody's happy ass that they even thought to ask me such a silly ass thing. And eventually, I would have to digest that and I would have to be okay with it because these are people uh, assuming and chances are very good if somebody came to me with like something like that, knowing how upset I am about the way some people are responding or choosing to continue to follow what I see as a dark path. If someone were to be so bold as to approach me with something I would consider so what, just how very dare you. And honestly, not me just cuss 'em a blue streak and wonder what in the blue blazes of Hades they were thinking even suggesting it. I would need to give that more thought. I would have to put that under my pillow while I slept at night to see if I could come to a better conclusion in the morning when I woke. Because if somebody who cared enough about me asked that of me, I would need to give that just a little bit more thought. Because right now I'd be like, absolutely not. You may take that and the horse you rode in on and 100% for unlawful common knowledge yourself, whatever it was you were thinking, because how very dare you. And chances are, if they're that kind of friend to me, they would know that would be my initial reaction. And I pray that they would give me the grace so that I could come back around to that and realize that yes, they still need my compassion. They still need my understanding. And I want to give that to them. I don't want to completely forgive them. I want to hold them accountable for terrible ideas and following what I see to be a harmful way of thinking and governing. And I would never want to say anything as mean spirited or as unhelpful as, I told you so. They know. They know. These are people that know these kinds of things, so I must take it on myself. Compassion, not entire forgiveness, not entire forgetting. What it is compassion to know that when you lie in a group of people, meaning placement, not telling an untruth, though that applies. That's not where I'm going with this immediately. It is difficult to continue to swim upstream whenever the current is so strong. Eventually, you get swept up in it, and I will give that the credit it is due. And I will also give weight to the intellect and the strong heartedness of the people I love in my life to know that they will realize that they are getting farther and farther from the shore. And they're going to have to wake up one day and they're going to have to stop floating and stop treading. And they're going to have to really fight against that current, kick it to get back to the land. I don't want these people to drown in it. I don't. And I'd be lying through my teeth if I said there wasn't a part of me that wanted them to learn the hard way. Because it isn't like we haven't been talking about this for literal years. And there's another side of this that continues to say there's one thing to have a conversation with your people, but you don't do that 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, like some of their quote unquote news networks do for them. Because anger is a really effective motivator. Hate's right next door, also wildly effective in this entire situation. And whenever you hear these kinds of things come out of the mouths of these people that you see daily, which leads to a relationship of sorts and a trust of sorts, and they continue to say, you are not to blame for what's happening. You are a victim. Meaning, whenever you put it through a lens or two of a little bit more critical thinking, what they're really saying is you did everything that was asked of you and you're still standing here in less money than you thought you're going to have. Maybe your relationship with your family is not what you thought it would be. Maybe these things that people sold you or told you years ago did not come to fruition for whatever reason that might be. And now you're mad. And I get it. Oh boy, do I get it. I think a lot of us are dealing with something like that. Loads of us. Here's the thing. What I want to continue to do is give grace to people because our goals look differently. Marriage and a family. Great. There's one. College and a fantastic job. Okay, super. There's another. Building a community in your church or your organizations or whatever it is that you find to be fortifying and building this wonderful group of people who continue to lift you up. And that didn't come to fruition. Okay, yeah. There's a lot of ways to look at this that you spent a lot of time doing because you were told when you were younger and perhaps a bit more optimistic or open that it was going to lead you to this. And now what? Where are we standing? What are we doing? This ain't at all what they told me it was going to be. Correct. Because let me tell you something. Whenever we forecast, a lot of times what we're going to do is cast that into the future in the best possible outcomes. Everybody looks to the future with hope and optimism. And when that doesn't come 100% to fruition, I think that a lot of us get upset. I know I would. I do constantly. What I want to do is not throw a shade of cynicism over it. What I want to do is make sure that I also take off about 18% for realism. And I don't do that for negativity. I don't do that out of anything other than the fact that we need to understand that not everyone that we encounter is going to be on our path 100%, and they're not going to be gung-ho about it as perhaps we are. And so they're going to perhaps attach themselves to your wagon, but they're going to be a little bit more of a drag than they are a little bit more of a driving force. Okay? And we have to continue to look at that. And when we get angry, as, pardon me, I am almost always want to do when things don't go my way, I need to take a moment and I need to be compassionate with the other people who are involved in this because it is unrealistic for me to expect everyone who attaches themselves to my wagon to be as excited about it as I am. That's silly. That's not the way we work it. That's just completely and totally unrealistic. Now, am I going to tell you to dream hard and dream big and go for broke every time you put your pen to paper or you put your finger to your temple whenever you're thinking of your best and brightest, most wonderful dreams and goals and aspirations? Yes, do it. Dream big and understand that everyone that you meet that can help you get where you're going is not going to be as 100% on it as you are. So we have to prepare for that as well. And when we exceed those expectations, huzzah! What a glorious thing to have happen to us, right? Yes. And when those people can't meet us where we want to be, when they drag at us, not necessarily out of malice, but just out of not knowing any different or not knowing exactly how to help us get where we're going, please, 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 we have to temper that anger, that rage with compassion and understanding. Knowing that is the element on the other side of that very strong emotion that can help us continue to fuel our motion forward is a huge, huge, huge help, okay? It is to me, and I'm hoping it will be to you, because I did not know how to approach those kinds of things until we had this wonderful discussion in the meeting talking about Pride Month. Also, may I just say right now, I get so angry about the fact that so many things have been taken off the calendar in the United States of America, the official calendar, things like Juneteenth, things like Pride Month, all these kind of things that continue to kind of chip away at everything that we want to do when we celebrate diversity, equity, and inclusion among all of the people in the United States of America. And whenever I look at the flip side of that now, because I am angry about it, the compassionate parts of me reminds the rest of me that's ready to just swing a fist or a club or a bat or whatever at people who want to be so unbelievably ridiculous. I don't need it on the national calendar to celebrate it, or the people who benefit the most from it, or the people who have the most reason to celebrate for it. I don't need permission for that. Now, what I can do in that, number one, I can hear the anger in my voice when I say something like that. And I can hear the compassion on the other side of it. It doesn't need to be mealy mouth to be understanding and caring and feeling for those who have the most reason to celebrate and who continue to bring these topics to our attention so that we can appreciate who and what they are and what they have done for the nation and the world. And what I will continue to do is raise them up and thank them and continue to open as much of a circle and a discussion as I possibly can so everybody feels safe and heard and respected. And that is okay. And I can use that rage and anger to throw some elbows for anybody who doesn't necessarily want to continue to open the circle, and then I can use my compassion to kiss that boo boo that I have just inflicted on someone to let them know that it was nothing against you personally. It was against the fact that you have chosen a path I cannot agree with and will not allow you to stand in the way of someone else's existence. And my anger I will channel towards you until you accept and willingly open yourself to them, and then I will hold that and pet you and coo at you because, yes, I did that because you were doing something to someone who you considered an idea instead of a person and you stood against it. And you needed to understand that's not how we do this. And if that's how you feel you're going to do this, you need to understand that you're going to meet, you're going to get bucked up on. I don't know how else to say it to you. The time for tolerance, understanding is always around. If you don't meet us where we must be met, we will exercise other options. I don't see that as unkind or intolerant. What I see that is the time for having to convince others of the humanity of other people on our planet is over. That is not the discussion any longer. The discussion now is how much force must I use in order for you to understand we're not asking? And we leave that open. I'm not here to mealy mouth any longer. I am not here to pussyfoot or tiptoe. What I'm here to do is to lay a very large, strong hand on you first in kindness and connection, and then to put a force behind it so that you understand that you can no longer stand directly in the way because we are no longer allowing it. Well, that doesn't sound very nice. No, it doesn't. It doesn't sound very nice at all. And it wasn't meant to. We came in connection and love and hope and community, and we were met with something that did not wish to move. And I need everyone that is listening to the sound of my voice to understand that is no longer the question. You will move and we will connect and love, and the least and the most of our brethren will meet in the same circle. And if you don't like it, that is too damn bad. And once your feathers get ruffled, I will meet you where you are with our new friends, and we will talk about how much we have in common. And I will do my best to smooth you with the compassion that lies on the other side of anger. However, you will no longer be an obstacle to these people who have tried to be themselves for as long as time has been around. Welcome to the new tolerant. Welcome to the new anger tempered with compassion. Please understand that this is the new normal, and we expect you to understand. Welcome to a new era of Radical Joy, friends. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, Congratulations. What a wonderful episode to join us on. For those of you who have been here before, welcome back. I love that we have a community that continues to grow and hopefully continues to endure whenever we grow like this. It is painful to grow like this. It is. It is a new understanding and is a new dawn of what we hope to do here at Radical Joy. And I could not be more excited that you're here. Thank you for growing with us. If you're the kind of person who likes to leave a review, please do. On whatever platform you're listening, leave us a 5-star review. Take a screenshot of that, send it to us so we can send you some swag. We're into a brand new look here at Radical Joy. We rebranded at the very beginning of this season, and we're thrilled you're here and would love to send you something new and different that also embodies the new things that we're trying to do in a new way. Please understand how excited I am that you're here. I hope this new flavor finds you just as excited as I am, and so are all of us here at CLW Studios. Please always understand that no matter how bold we get with our words, we will never stray from making sure that everyone out there knows just how much we love y'all.